This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so good morning, everyone, and welcome to the walkthrough session of the IFRS 9 self learning module. So, first of all, I would sincerely thank all of you for showing such an interest in this module. Thank you so much, and for taking out time on this weekend to attend this walkthrough session. The objective of this walkthrough session would be to walk you through all the little nitty gritties of this module. So when I say the nitty gritties, what I mean is what does this module comprise of? What does this? What are the topics which are covered in this module? How is the content arranged? How would you be using the content? How would the support sessions be? What would be the logistics? How do you reach out to me in case of a query? Now, in case of a very urgent query, in case of a very in case of a BAU query. So these are the different points end to end. So how would this online process run between all of us is what we want to discuss over here, right? So please feel free to put in your questions, clarify all your doubts that you have, and we can take it up from there, right? Now, so let me just first just a very quick confirmation that I need from your end is number the first is whether you am I audible, and second, can all of you see my screen that I have shared uh, over here?
Yes, Tanmay, you are audible
Yes,
and
Tanmay,
the
you're
screen
audible.
is also visible.
Great, great.
Yes.
So okay, so thank you everyone. So I'll just start off with the overview of the module first, and then I will be kind of talking about all the you know so I'll be talking about the entire thing, but first let us start off with the IFRS 9 syllabus that is there, right? So this IFRS 9 module is divided into three parts. The first is the first is the introduction to the IFRS 9 standard and its component. The second is introduction to the IFRS 9 feeder models, and the third is the introduction to the stress testing frameworks and the methodologies around that. Now we know that before I go into the before we discuss the syllabus, there's a little background to IFRS 9. So we all know that the very traditional approach of provisioning used to be the traditional frameworks, right? It used to be the incurred loss approach, right? So if it's the incurred loss approach which is there, and IFRS 9 has been an evolution from the incurred loss approach, the IS 39, and from there it has evolved into IFRS 9, right? So from the incurred loss approach, the approach began to build a forward-looking framework where the Basel inputs were being initially used. People realized that using Basel models or Basel inputs into to calculate provisions actually led to very conservative forecasts of provisions. And from there, a new framework evolved, which was forward-looking as well as was what kind of adjusted to the provisioning framework, because provisions can be released if they have been overbooked, right? But overbooking a provision too much has its own opportunity cost in terms of business and profitability, right? So therefore, all these so IFRS 9 had evolved out of all these challenges, right? So while we study IFRS 9, understanding this evolution is utmost important, and that is what is discussed in the first set. Now, while IFRS 9 was working, right, and IFRS 9 had taken the world by storm into by 2017, 2018, or like January, since January 2018, since all the banks implemented IFRS 9 by 2018. So from there, the next break into IFRS 9 comes in with COVID, coming into the world with this new set of pandemic that struck the world around, right? So benchmarking. So basically, how did the regulations fare under COVID? This is a very big challenge that IFRS 9 modelers and the validators, developers have yet to answer. That I have been using IFRS 9, but how did my models get affected during COVID? What workarounds can I do in order to avoid, in order to make up for the impact that COVID may have had on my provisioning models? So to understand that, the the relief measures that the government had taken at that point of time, those needs need to be inculcated, right? So that impact of a moratorium or a payment, a deferred payment rule, or for India, the Supreme Court judgment of August 29 of 2020, 2020 would be very important critical factors, right? So which helped the helped sealing the flow rates across the markets during the pandemic time. So therefore, this was something that needs to be studied, and module 1 entirely focuses on the regulations and on the regulatory framework, the different regulatory guidances around IFRS 9, and what is the and like what exactly is the the impact that it had that the pandemic had the pandemic had on the IFRS 9 frameworks, right? The module 2 talks about the feeder models, the PD model, LGD model, EAD model, and tries to have a overall view of the model development framework, right? So if I am to develop a PD model, so what kind of models will I be using? If I am to develop a lifetime PD model, what kind of models I'll be using? If I am to develop a macroeconomic model, what are the frameworks that I am using? What are the challenges of using these frameworks, right? When I'm building a time series model, I can just go and build a time series model. But when I have to build a time series model with limited data, I would be facing these challenges. So building a time series model is a matter of extreme luxury for a UK or a US based economy, or for a portfolio. But the same modeling becomes a challenge when you are facing the MENA markets, or at times some of these underdeveloped developing markets in the APAC regions. So how do I deal with that, right? So how is the point in time PD model different from a TTC PD model? What is an LGD model? What is a in default LGD model? What is a default LGD model? What is a EAD model? And so on. So these are some of the concepts which are so these are the concepts that we discuss over here. Now, a very important concept in IFRS 9 is the concept of marginal defaults. So how do you connect the concept of marginal defaults to IFRS 9? Marginal defaults become very important when you are trying to build up a a lifetime PD model, so that you can compute the marginal defaults and you integrate them over a continuous time, and you get your total probability to default, right? So the concept of lifetime default, marginal default, and so on, right? Macroeconomic models, time series data. How would we do it? How do we interpret the results of time series in a model? So these are some of the important concepts that we have been discussing. Module 3 talks about the stress testing frameworks, right? The Bank of England PRI guidelines on IFRS 9 stress testing, the stress test methodology frameworks, and so on, right? So again, this mostly is like simulating the books, simulating the survival rates, and stressing them out, and based on that, and seeing how the macroeconomic variables would work with them, right? The detailed syllabus is provided over here, and I believe every one of you has gone through, right? So what are the respective what are the different kind of methods, what are the different, and each of these sections would be supplemented by a respective case study, right? So this is the detailed syllabus which is there. So you can ignore this last part of this syllabus, but the syllabus mostly is still module 3. So these are the three broad modules that we have under this IFRS 9 IFRS 9 model self-learning model development and validation, which covers end to end of, which gives you more or less an end to end understanding of the IFRS 9 model development and validation framework. Now over here, So this is the part where the IFRS 9 module is hosted, right? So the IFRS 9 self-learning module is hosted over here. So this is the drive access that will be given to the participants who register for this module. So the question is, how is this drive structured? How do I need to work with this drive? Now this is a very so this is the core drive for IFRS 9, right? And it is divided into five broad parts. The first folder, so the first folder that I have over here is the video recordings folder. So the entire videos of the module, right, that you will be following is hosted on this drive, right? The second that we have over here are the regulatory documents and reading. So these are basically those sections of these documents which have been used to demonstrate or to create the videos to discuss to develop the guidelines. So these are the guidelines or the documents which has been referred again and again over here. So this is an Excel sheet which has been created. So this is the one that you would be referring to. So how does this sheet operate? So when I'm discussing a particular part of the guideline, let's say I'm talking about significant increase in credit risk, the paragraph over here is the paragraph of IFRS 9 as in the IASB document is shared is quoted here. The scope of the guidelines is quoted here, and what exactly is SICR, that is quoted here, right? And what are the respective implications on the guidelines. So similarly, over here, so these are the respective paragraphs under SICR, because discussing significant increase in credit risk is one of the most important factors, right? So significant increase in credit risk is one of the key components. The staging is one a critical component over here, and so on, right? Similarly, moratorium and the government schemes. How does this? How does what implications does it have, and so on, right? And when we are talking about some basic concepts like moratorium on the cycle of delinquency, the distributions, macroeconomic model development. So how are the macroeconomic variables charted out? How does it look like? How would the model look like, and so on. So all these structures are described here, right? So flow rates and everything. So how the concept is working, that is discussed in these Excel sheets, right? Now, so while you are going through the videos on the in the drive, you will be able to, you can open this Excel sheet and you can follow as this Excel sheet build is being built in the lectures, right? So that's how we need to coordinate between these what would I say? So this is how you coordinate across the drives. And over here you have the respective regulatory requirements. So basically, while you are going through the videos in this section, you will be able to refer. Now, in the process of the model development exercise and everything, there are two kind of report summary which is generated. One is a whiteboard work, which is there, and the second, this is how a typical whiteboard work would look like, right? So you can see this in the thumbnail to the video that I had shared, right? So every session is developed on the whiteboard, right? And while that is being, this whiteboard is being developed live in the session, so you can always use this whiteboard and you can, kind of compare how it is being developed, what is being written, and so on, right? So this is the part where the entire detailing is being done, right? So you can actually follow this and get an idea of how the development happens, how the components of the models are developed over here, and so on, right? So this is how it would work. So observe one thing, and the second set of exercises that we have is in terms of model development results, right? So we have the different kind of uh, model development exercise being. So one is on the based on the roll rate models, right? That we generally have. So it's a typical case study that we have on roll rate models, because roll rate models are something which is used very extensively to derive the point in time PD models, the point in time PD estimates. But roll rate models are the ones which gets impacted because of the COVID crisis, right? So as a result, what we would want to understand is how that has happened. The second set over here, you have the models that we had developed, right? So all those the behavior PD model, the logistic decision tree based models, and so on. So these are the ones which are being, so all these are the ones which is being documented over here. So all the Excel results and summaries are documented here. Over here you have so this folder houses the code sheets that are there. And over here, so this is the part which I have created recently. So this is the part where uh, the participants can so while you go through this module, I'll come to this part a little later in details. While you are going through the module, you would have several questions which are coming up to your mind. So with the name of the session, that the video that you have gone through, right? So the video name, the folder name, video number, and you can list out all your questions, or in one single document you can give the headings of the videos and list out your questions and upload it over here and shoot me a mail, so that I know I'm aware that some questions has been raised, and what I can do is I can go in and kind of answer address the question. So you can create an Excel sheet over here. I can create a Google sheet and have it handy, so that each one of you who finally decide to participate in the module, what you can do is you can just open your respective tab names, put the video name, video description, and your questions corresponding to that, so that when we are having the doubt clearing sessions, the support sessions, we can take up each of the questions and we can address, right? And then what I do is I would put my comment corresponding to that, so that at the end of the module you will have a list of questions, answers, and comments on the same, right? So that will give you a whole archive of questions to this entire participating batch, right? So that's how this folder will ideally be used, right? So these are broadly the folders that I have over here. So one thing you can see is that each of these folders are complementary to each other. I mean, they're supplementary to each other. You have a video recording, then you have a regulatory document, you have an Excel summary, and you have a code sheet, right? So all these are related. So as you are going through the video, so that's the central one that you would have, and from there what you would want to do is you would try to so as you go through the videos, as you see the documents being developed, you can pull them from these folders and have for your reference, and that's how you progress through the module. Now let's come to this video recording folders. So over here the first folder has all the videos which talks about the IFRS 9 guidelines. So this is your module 1 folder, right? So you have all your videos which talks about the IFRS 9 guidelines, all component models, PD, LGD, EAD, and their modeling methods and frameworks, right? So this is the first one that you have. The second folder that you have is on a case study of developing a behavior point in time PD model, right? So logistic regression model development validation for a personal. So you have the data set and you are developing a point in time PD. The third folder is on developing an origination PD. So it talks about introduction to origination PD scorecards, right? And then you have some of the step-by-step model development, right? Then what you have over here is the lifetime PD, LGD, and EAD. Though it may seem that there are just 3 videos over here, but each of the videos here is quite a lengthy video. So one of them is the 6 hours video. So this talks about converting a point in time PD to an IFRS 9 PD. So it talks about how exactly would you convert a point in time PD to an IFRS 9 PD. And this section may have some repetition from the first section because it tries to recapitulate the entire discussion now, and then you go into that conversion, right? So this is a very, so it talks about survival models. It talks about macroeconomic adjustments. So over here you have, so this is the second one that you have is you discuss in details the concept of survival models. So you have a five. So this is a 5.5 hour recording, right? And finally, what you have a lifetime PD and a LGD model development where you talk about all this. So this is a 2.5 hours video, a slightly more than a 2.5 hour video. So you have nearly 15 hours of content in this particular video that you have over here, right? So this will cover your more or less. So these videos they cover your end to end your IFRS 9 or the key components of your IFRS 9 models, right? And the final part that I have over here is this talks about a time series model development. So if I am to deploy time series models in developing this, developing a macroeconomic model. So what are the key steps of that IFRS 9 model? So this entire part is discussed over here, right? So it starts with the very basics of time series and goes on to discuss the time series implementation in SAS. So all the relevant code sheets are present there in the code folder, right? So this is more or less what the module is. Now, there are a few caveats to this part. The first caveat is that I have developed a module which covers all the key essentials of IFRS 9 and I have put them in one place, right? However, when you are going through this module, you may feel that there are some portions or which you may need in more details, right? Let's say you want to understand survival models in or hazard rate models in more details, or you want to understand uh, the regulatory side of IFRS 9 in more details. So you need to communicate that to me, stating that Tanmay, these are the areas I have seen this in the video, or these are the areas I think is missing in the video. Can you help us develop a content around this? Right? So what I will be doing is I will be going through the videos of those relevant videos, and then from there I'll build up that content. You need to give me, let's say, a week or so time or a couple of weeks time, depending on the size of the content that you want, right? And what I'll do is I'll update them, right? So I'll create the videos and we'll update them over there so that there is a continuity of flow in there. So while you go through this, it may seem to you that there are something which are missing, something that is missing. So there can be missing links which you are unable to determine. So you need to highlight that to me while you are doing the module during the catch-up sessions that we will have. And what I'll do is I'll create that content and I'll upload it in this drive, right? So that that works as an extension to the video, right? Because this is a huge content, right? And covering the different portions of IFRS 9, and given that it's a human exercise, so there can be miss outs, right? So I'll just request you to highlight those parts, and I'll create the content and I'll put it there, right? Now, on the other hand, the there can be it may seem that I think that okay, so you may think that okay, I'm someone who is not very comfortable with SAS or Python, so I have not incorporated them in this module because this is an IFRS 9 module. However, there are supporting primer modules for over there, which is which comes under the same umbrella. So if you want, let's say, I'm not very comfortable with SAS, or I'm not very comfortable with Python. I want to, because this is mostly done in SAS and Excel. So I don't suppose there would be an issue. So what I'll do is I'll say that, okay, take this drive, go through these videos, and that will help you cover up whatever is there in SAS. And I'll share the data sets and the required code sheets with you for that, right? So then you can just go through those videos and then come back with the doubts, clarify your SAS, and then you work with the module again, right? So what wherever you are facing glitches, you need to communicate that to me over mail, over WhatsApp, or over phone, and from there what we can do is we can we can work that part out, right? So that's how you should be working with the model. That's one. Now the second part comes over here is on the support sessions and the doubt clearing sessions. So the way it ideally works is, let's say we decide that, let's say Tanuja decides that she would start with the IFRS 9 guidelines, right? So there are, how many videos are there? There are 17, 18, 19 videos, right? Now, what the way we'll work is, and each video is around approximately 2 hours, 2.5 hours, or 1.5 hours, something like that. It varies. It varies from 1.5 hours to 2.5 hours. So basically, what we would do is, let's say every week, Tanuja believes that she can devote 10 hours in a week. So 2 hours on from Monday to Friday, respectively, right? So basically, in that 10 hours, she can finish the first 4 to 5 videos. So we agree on the fact that we will finish the 5 videos in a week, and that means that I can finish up to 10 videos in 2 weeks. I'm just assuming, right? So assuming she starts on from the 5th of June, which is Monday, so there would be 2 weeks time that she would take, right? So it would be the next weekend and the next weekend. On the third weekend, we will be accumulating in a group, right? On a doubt clearing session. Before that, she can actually put her questions on that drive in any document, any document format that she wants with her name, or I on that Excel that I'll create, she can upload her queries over there, and we'll sit together, right? And we'll take up each of the participants' questions, and we will walk through that, right? So this will be every alternate week. So 2 weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, 2 hours, 2 hours, 4 hours each, we'll sit down and we will clarify the questions. Now, if it so happens that, you know, in one session, 2 sessions, I'm unable to complete all the answers, so the next weekend there will be a third session which would be assigned to complete the remaining questions. So until and unless we complete all the questions and answering the queries of all the participants, we will be we will keep on assigning, right? So then after let's say all the doubts for the first 10 videos has been answered for all the participants, you would not need the session for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Once you are ready with the next 9 videos and you complete the first drive, then we regroup again and we'll follow the same procedure, right? So even though I say that on a monthly basis there would be 4 sessions allotted, that is every alternate week, it may go up to 5 or 6 sessions as well, depending on the need of the class, and then you can take a 2 to 3 weeks break in the sense of not having the session while you go through the videos. We agree on a set of videos and we complete the chunk, we finish that milestone, and then we'll move in from there, right? So that's the way we should be operating. That's the way we'll be operating on the logistics of the session, right? Now the next part over here is the access to this drive is lifetime. Any updates that happen on this drive will be available to you on a lifetime basis, and it may so happen that you may lose access to this drive over a period of time because of operational issues. Google does some updates to these drives or anything. to the right formats or anything. The moment you see you're unable to access that, you just need to shoot out a mail to me. I'll provide the refreshed access to you, but that does not generally happen. It only happens when people tend to change their. But if you change your email ID, you will lose your access to this because the access is mapped to your current email ID that you have shared with me. In case you're updating your email ID, you need to share an update with me that my update has been done. I have a new email ID which I'm using. Can you please grant me an access to this drive? Right? So that's the way it would ideally operate. Right? So that's more or less on the key aspects of the model of this module on the logistics. And yeah, so I'll take up. So I'll stop here and I'll open the house for questions. Yes, guys.
Hi Tanmay, Somo here.
Hey, hi, show.
I heard what you were saying. Just I had I need some clarification. So this videos that you showed are like mostly concept videos, or the core in the videos there will be also part of implementation discussed in the video.
A part of.
The implementation of the concept
Yeah,
through
yeah, yeah.
SaaS.
It's a detailed video. It's a detailed a video covering all the aspects of model development, model validation, so everything. So it's a detailed video with proper codes, with proper Excel sheets supporting each of them. So I'll just give you a glimpse of the videos over here. Chomo, can you just go on mute? I'll just help you with that. So let's say, hmm, so let's say I'm using this. So this is a 1 hour 4 minute video that I have, which discusses sample representativeness analysis, right? So if I am building the data, so if I want to build my model, right, I'll divide my model into development and hold out validation. And what I'll use is I'll deploy some kind of checks on that to ensure that the samples are representative of each other, so that there is not much of a shift in the analysis. So I'll just skip a little bit. Just give me a minute because I'm playing this through the video. I mean through the drive, so it's taking a bit of a time. Right. So you will see that. So, so Shomo, you will see that all these videos that I have over here, they are all technical videos, right? So with proper ranks and plots and which has been shown, and the relevant Excel sheets are saved in the Excel and the reports and summary folder.
Yes, Salma, so I got the point. Yeah. So every module will be coming with one sample data and also the
Absolutely,
implementation shown in the video.
absolutely.
Okay. Okay. And then Tanmay, help me out with one more thing. So, like if I want to do this on my personal laptop, so I won't be having SaaS
Yeah. So
available
in
there.
yeah. So with SAS, I remember you asked this question to me. That with SAS, you have the SAS University Edition, which you can access from your laptops. So those codes have to be uploaded. The codes have to be uploaded to the SAS server environment, and you can work over there. So I'll show you in the first meeting that we have after when the first catch up meeting that we have for this session. I'll show you how to implement how to you work with that SAS server.
Yes, Tanmay. So sorry to interrupt. I had
Yeah.
the
So
similar question. Like, can we use it on SAS on demand?
yes, you can use it in SAS on demand. All you have to
Okay.
do is you have to upload it to SAS on demand on the server, the
Uh,
codes and the documents, and from there you can work.
okay. Okay, Tanmay. Another question I had is basically, what do you suggest? Like, once we finish a certain number of videos, should we go to the case study and complete the particular case study as well?
So all the once you are going through the videos, right? So the videos
Uh-huh.
are done in a sequence where the topic is first discussed, and
Uh,
then the case study is also discussed in the videos. So while you are going through
oh,
the videos, you are covering everything. You don't need to do anything on your own. So when
oh,
you come to the case studies that the PITPD case study and all, so over there, what you will see is that all the codes are written and the code has been walked through line end to end, right?
okay,
And
okay,
from there, you can so all you need to do is you need to open the code at your end, see how the code is being executed, what results are you getting, how the Excel sheet is looking like. You run the code at your end, you see whether you're getting the same kind of results or not,
okay, 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 Tanmay.
right?
And Tanmay, you were also talking about like Python programming. So, is there also a code for Python for these modules, or it just SAS will be there?
So over here for these models that I have for IFRS 9, they have been mostly developed in SAS and Excel, right? So if you want to explore it in Python as well, we can do that as well. But for that, what I'll suggest is once we have covered a part of the module, let's say the first we have completed the first folder, right? And then when we're moving to the case studies, while you go through the SAS and the Excel counterparts, when we are regrouping for our sessions, right? We can sit down so and I can live show you his implementation in Python, right? But for that, what I suggest is first finish a part of this module. So first finish the first folder, one case study. Let's say you are doing the personal case study in SAS and Excel. What I'll do is I'll so once you have covered a part of it, you are doing the sample representativeness analysis. In the class, when we are regrouping after you have clarified our doubts or for doubt clarification, or we can assign a session and I'll show you that same coding how it looks in Python. But as of now, the Python codes do not exist. I mean, the model's implementation in Python does not exist. It is mostly implemented in SAS and Excel, right?
Okay, then I got the point.
Yeah. So any other questions, guys?
And Tanmay, so this IFRS 9 modules, so will it also cover how we do it for the corporate portfolio, or it's only
Yeah. So it
mainly?
comprises of case studies of both retail and commercial portfolios.
Okay. Okay.
Clear? So any other questions, guys? So are we good?
So since
Yeah.
this is a quite a huge content, so what do you anticipate? Like how much time a person generally requires to
So Tolu,
complete
the
the
way we
entire?
will do is
Uh,
the way we will do this is we'll
uh,
sit down and we'll break it down. So we'll sit down and we'll break it down into modules, right? Into
okay,
portions. We'll cover each portion, we'll set a timeline, finish it, we'll discuss doubts, we'll close that, and then we move to the next timeline. So we'll break it down. But my idea is you would need
mm,
at least 3 to 4 months to complete this module properly with thorough understanding.
okay, 3 to 4 months. So do you suggest that we begin from today itself?
No,
Like
we so what we'll do is Tomato, we'll sit down separately and we'll work out on that on breakup of that module along with the timeline.
okay,
Right?
okay,
So I'll send out a mail to you with the
mm,
date of sitting down, right? And
okay,
we'll break it down into module and like into portions, and we'll finish it off, and then from there we'll take it up. So while you
yes,
do this module, it will be a completely guided module. It's just that the content is there and you will be going through the content, but how you go through the content, how much can you cover? So we will do that through mutual discussion. It will not be that you will be left all on your own to finish it off and then go directionless, right? So I will be
yeah.
here to constantly kind of guide you and ensure that you are on track, right? There will be a separate logistics for that as well.
Thank you, Tanmay.
Yeah. So any other questions, guys? Rishabh, Digvijay, Sachin, are we good?
Yes, Tanmay. I don't have any further questions.
Great,
Yeah, then we
Yes.
are good. No, I do not have any questions. Thanks.
great. So I think we can close this session and then let me know your thoughts and then we can get started. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanmay. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.